liberation. Therefore, we would like to oppose today's motion. We do not want to support the animal liberation approach because we believe there is a better way in protecting these animals while also paying attention to the importance of these animals in our work and in our lives. So, yeah, as I said before, we do not want, in order to protect animals, we cannot be creating tension. We cannot be causing problems in the society. What we need to do is we need to work together. So animal liberation fronts with their direct confrontational approach is not the way to go. We need to work together. Our procedures when it comes to animals. We need stronger law enforcement when it comes to working with animals. We need people from the government to enforce the law. So it's not just to make the law, but to enforce the law, to make sure that people in laboratories are taking care of their animals and looking after the animals' welfare. So that is the first. And we also would like to talk about how it is very, very important for humans to work with animals, and therefore confrontational approaches done by the Animal Liberating Front, it's actually very detrimental. So we believe that animal in laboratories, for example, in researches, we really need animal because animal testing need to be done before we go forward to clinical testing. And in these types of testing, it is a very important step because it is unethical and it could be dangerous to test on humans before testing on animals. And the results, whatever the results in animals, is something that can be improved on. We can learn from these results in order to make, especially in researches that involve medicine and drugs and other life-saving treatments. So what I would like to stress here is that there is such a huge importance for us to work with animals. And the actions done by Animal Liberation Front, which they do direct confrontation, in which they create tension in the society, is not the way to go. It's not going to protect the animals. It is not going to help the people, and therefore we would like to yes. Therefore, we would like to stress that we need to collaborate. Those who believe in the protection of animals and those who believe in the need of animals in our work, we need to collaborate. We need to meet and we need to talk, creating some common grounds, because these two sides are both important. Like the animals are important in the work, and also protecting the lives of the animals is important. But this extremism is not the way to go. We need to be able to meet and we need to discuss and we need to find a common ground in which, of course, we can protect the animals, because people who work with animals, they also want to protect the animals' well-being. Because, of course, if you work with animals and the animal is in bad mental or physical state, then the animals will not be helping you. The animals will not give good results. So we believe that those who work with animals, sorry?
Time's up.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we just like to say that we stand to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, then I'm sorry. Okay, then am I audible?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Ivan as Deputy Prime Minister. Well, let me give my rebuttal. Yes, the left takes extreme approach, but in the face of extreme pain and suffering that animal experience, extreme actions are needed. They may seem radical to you, So let's see the way animals are treated today with the same horror that human did when we look back at the slave trade. And the tension felt by society is needed to change the situation in every big change that happen. The society will feel a tension, which means their approach is working. This means that approach is slowly changing our society for the better. We'll become a society who don't enslave and torture animals, right? The LF only take action if they believe something or someone is endangering or torturing animals. If the labs follow the rules and codes that have been made by the government, they will not have to worry about the Animals Liberation Front because the Animal Liberation Front will only take extreme actions in the face of extreme pain and suffering. Let me tell you that ILF always takes so many brave action rather than talking. They give so many liberation to many animals that have been hunted. ILF always takes precaution to avoid loss of life and minimize the damage that may occur. ILF's goal is to stop the animals abusing. They do this by liberating animals from exploitative situations, such as in laboratories where they are used for experiments and cause financial harms to animal exploiters. ILF often save animals from animal drug testing. We know that they're suffering by mentally and physically abusement. Let's take a sample from rabbit. This rabbit taken from for many experience that often useless. These beautiful beings become tortured by what human done just because of human's greed. Imagine for the ladies, have you ever experienced bad reactions or allergy from your cosmetics? I'm sure some of you already have experienced it. Now imagine that pain, that suffer, the shame multiplied tens of times and happens all over your body, and these suffer are often permanent. They have to live their life with this same pain, suffer, and shame until they die. Or imagine the stomach ache you once experienced, but it's permanent and it's forced on you. They have no say on what have been done on them. They can't even complain or beg for mercy. Well, that's all from me, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, thank you for Deputy Prime Minister. The Deputy Prime Minister spent 2 minutes and 24 seconds. So the next, to continue the case from the governing opposition, here is the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Ms. Ayu Wiatnyani. Time is yours.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, my name is Kada Iwatnyani, and I am the deputy leader of the opposition team. So, as what my uh, what my partner has said, that this Liberation Front is an extremism organization and movement, and the government team has said that by taking the animals, it would just solve the problems. I mean, by taking them from laboratory, for example, as you said before, the rabbit. But the thing is, uh, liberation are not the solution for this problem, as we know that animals that have been human have this tendency to always depends on human. So, uh, so uh, there are several arguments that I will provide you. So first, I will talk again about the target attack of this Animal Liberation Front. As I've as I have said before, this is an extremism organization and movement. So they attack business such as laboratorium, farm, restaurant, and also educational institutions such as veterinary institution. And also they attack government, military, police, individualist police, and also they attack transportation and infrastructure. And by just uh, 2015, they have already caused so many economic damage and loss by banning the activities and by destroying the property by the direct approach that the government team has said before. But the thing is, this uh, animal, liberation front is using radical methods of sabotage and violence. Okay, by that, the radical method that I can give, for example, is vandalism, and uh, uh, they harass and intimidate people that related in the sector and called that as fighting for animal cruelty. But by their action, sadly, but the action contrasts with people labeled them as terrorists because they are failed to condemn the act of violence that they are trying to justify on animal, and that is hypocrite for this animal liberation front. And they could just save the animals, but not destroying the property, the facilities. They just could take the animals and save them, but they instead using the radical methods to justifying this their action. And for my second reason, as my my partner has said, that we can there are some sector that we cannot work without animals, and one of the example is zoo. Okay, zoo. As we are a veterinary student, we need zoo to learn more about animals. And
PY?
no, thank you. Uh, we, as vet student, we need to realize that access to study with wild animals are quite difficult, and zoo can provide it. And in order to become a professional veterinarian, we cannot simply learn from books or video. We need to see the real thing and we need to hands-on practice. But in this case, the animal liberation, the animal liberation front see this as a cruelty to animals. They said that it was the harm, a direct violation to the freedom of the animals, but they don't see what are the animals.
POA?
I'm sorry, no, thank you. Uh, uh, they doesn't see what the animal are feeling them, what are the animal could provide us in the zoo. And we know that people protect what they love, and the in the zoo, the animals also could benefit from the human, and not also human getting benefit from people. They can getting medicine, they could get their health checked, and their food and nutrition always will get fulfilled by the human that are saved by animal foundation, uh, animal liberation front as a cruelty. And that's why I could we the opposition team proudly support a proudly not supporting this animal liberation front to uh, exist because they are extremists, they have extremist activities, and they are extremist organization that only use that they mostly using radical methods to intimidate people that work in animal sector. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the Deputy Leader of Opposition. The Deputy Leader of Opposition spends 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Next, to open the case from the closing government, here's the member of government, Miss Desi. Time is yours. Sorry, we cannot hear you.
My voice audible? Yes. Sorry? Voice audible?
No, it's too low. Low.
Voice is audible.
Yeah, yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Am my voice audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay. For the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Desi. Based on the opening government.
Sorry. It's too low again. Uh,
Believe that any way to support and their mission at any moment.
Desi, Desi, can you please just stop and make sure that your device is very close to you, to your mouth, because we cannot hear you.
Okay, sorry. Am my
Okay.
voice audible?
Yes, please talk like that. Don't change your position. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Desi, for member of government. So let me give my opinion based on what opening government have said. That we believe animal liberation is a good way to support an animal with their mission to make animals safe with through any illegal action remaining from laboratory or farms and sabotaging facility. Also, animal testing, and we totally agree with Animal Liberation Front because we must know that animal doesn't have a similar instinct each other, so they can't be generalized. According to animal welfare, we all know the point of that things, especially in point number 5 that say freedom for animals to express natural behavior. Animals don't have same behavior as human, so they need human to protect them. But if it's too much, isn't good too. It's good so that animal can get liberated. But if it's too radical, it's actually will be harmful to animals. And based on what opening government have said, that is true that we as a human have a soldier to protect us. And we can and so the animals too. They have a ALF. When we have a soldier to protect us, we also can complain whenever we want. But one thing that we have to consider about that everything in excess isn't good. And we should know that animals cannot complain as we do. Generalize animal as animal generalize human as an animal right isn't a good way. Like if animal can be maintained is an is such an unlogically things. But back to the first reason of animal welfare, we should pay more attention to animal rights because that is our job. If it if it's not us, who else? That's from me. Thank you.
okay, thank you for the member of government. Member of government spent 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Uh, Next, to open the case from the closing opposition, here is the member of opposition, Ms. Audi. Time is yours.
Once again, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, judges and friends. Before I continue with this debate, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nurul Audi Bekak Fatone, acting as the member of opposition in this debate. Before I continue to my argument, the government said earlier that animal liberation fronts should be given the law to protect them and said that if there was a member of doing something harmful, they were not claim the one who did it was them. And off did not want to take responsibility from their own action. And earlier, the Prime Minister said that ALF should be given the law to protect them, which implicates the Prime Minister know that what ALF doing is illegal. Therefore, they were arrested like any other criminal in the first place. So we, as the opposition team, emphatically reject this motion. This House supports the Animal Liberation Front with the basis of the argument that even the FPA itself labeled Animal Liberation Front as a domestic terrorist organization, and the Justice Department began a campaign pursuing eco-terrorists as the nation's top domestic terrorist threat. In 2009, an off spokesman said some members had turned to violence following the failure of years of peaceful campaign. Even the ALF itself know that they were violent, and ALF members continue to vandalize and attack farms, restaurants, research facilities, and other targets they believe perpetuate the suffering of animals. So they really didn't know about the truth whether or not the animals is suffering, but still do harms to both the animals and the humans. And in December 2001, the section chief of the FBI called off the number one priority in the domestic terrorism program. And in congressional testimony in 2004, John Lewis, Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI Counterterrorism Division, called the investigation of animal rights extremism and ecoterrorism matters the FBI's highest domestic terrorism investigative priority. Like the leader of opposition said earlier, that of endanger the people that works with the animals. And I have the data here that shows violent activities condoned by Animal Liberation Front. No, thank you. In January 8, 2012, ALF activists set fire to a truck storage area at Harris Farms in Fresno County, California. The North American Animal Liberation Press Office, or NALPO, issued ALF claim of responsibility. In March 7, 2009, unknown individuals firebombed the car of University of California, Los Angeles, Professor David James outside his home because of his animal research. There were no casualties, but ALF claimed responsibility. In March 11, 1997, Douglas Joshua Ellerman set fire to the Fur Breeders Agriculture Co-op in Sandy, Utah. He later turned himself in and was sentenced to 7 years in prison and restitution of approximately 750,000 US dollars. Off did not officially claim the incident, but Ellerman admits that he belongs to the group. In June 1991, Alf claimed responsibility for arson attacks on an Oregon State University main research farm near Corvallis, Oregon, and the Northwest Farm Foods Cooperative in Edmonds, Washington, which
POI.
produce pig farming farms. No, thank you. February 28, 1992, Rodney Coronado broke into the Michigan State University, or MSU, office of researcher Richard Ulrich in East Lansing, Michigan, and set off a pre-dawn firebomb. Coronado reportedly believed Ulrich research was funded by the commercial fur industry. The bomb destroyed Ulrich's office and damaged three others. The attack led to the loss of more than 30 years of research for Ulrich and caused more than $1 million in damage. The morning of the attack, Coronado also vandalized an MSU-run mink farm near campus, of claimed responsibility in a press release, which Coronado admitted to writing. So Coronado pleaded guilty in 1985 but claimed he was not the one who set off the bomb. He claimed that he was not, but still. He was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in prison and ordered to pay $2.5 million in restitution to MSU and other university and farms he had targeted. In 2017, again, he admitted to acting alone on behalf of ALF. And lastly, in 1987, an arson attack destroyed an animal diagnostic laboratory under construction. So with the data here we have today, there is way more harm than goods from this animal liberation front. And according that the data we found, the prime steps itself of ALF state in 2002 is it is important to note that ALF does not in any way condone violence against any animals, human or non-human. But again, from the data that I gave earlier about all the attacks that ALF condone, really quite the opposite of what the Prime State of Animal Liberation Front said before. So that is why, once again, we emphatically reject this motion. This House supports the Animal Liberation Front with the basis of the argument that it is a far-left extremist group that their actions have included bombings, arson, and other attacks that have resulted in injuries both the animals and the humans. That is all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the member of opposition. The member of opposition spent 5 minutes and 18 seconds. Next, to end the case from the closing government, is the government whip. Ms. Dahlia Saragi, time is yours.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm gonna say that the open government already gave us a very good speech about how we as human become a front line or a soldier for these animals. As you know, guys, that animals also have intelligence. They have rights. They have uh, they have their life. I mean, like they do have like similar parts of body as us, but they don't have a focal. They don't have their voice, a focal voice to say no, like us as a human. They can say no, don't do this. The only thing they can do is just to fight back as an animal. So the reason here of an animal liberation is to fighting for the transparency across all animal-related industries, uh, because we know how the animal been treated in these industries, how badly they treated in these industries. Um, Earlier, op- the opening opponent said that we need animal to work with animal to like animal testing. That is true, but many of the animal testing procedure that are initiated never result in a product, and the figures continue to rise. Uh, in in the 1990, up to 92% of products that were tested on animals never made it to market. By 2010, the figure rose to over 98%. This does all come at cost, and the money needs to come from somewhere. And the other hand is the mission of animal liberation is to permanently improve the life of animal through legislation, consumer advocacy, action, and advocation. The closing opponents say that many of the animal liberation member that do like vandalism, like bad thing that shouldn't be done. But I think it's just because of some irresponsibility people that we gonna aside the good thing that we already do as animal liberation. And the other hand is animal liberation front actually very help the government, because as a government, animal is not just what we gonna need to take care of, because we need to take care of the human, the ecosystem, and many things that we cannot just do it by ourselves. So animal liberation is actually help us very much, because they don't just become an animal liberation members just because I want to get in, but of course they have a lot of education that they have take before become a member of animal liberation. So it's actually very helpful for us, for the society, to take care of like animal welfare, animal rights, because our society, especially in Indonesia, we don't have a very good education about animal welfare, about animal rights. How should we treat the animals? So animal liberation is a very good front that gonna us and gonna help society we need to do. We need to know about the animal rights. What we need to do to take care of these animals. So the society will know what things we shouldn't do and what thing we should do about these animals. Okay, I'm gonna talk about like laboratory that searching and that they use animal as a testing subject. In this nowadays, we have a very good technology, and being grown in this society, I think that our technology can change the way we testing our products. Like you guys, maybe you don't realize that you have a product, you use a product that use animal testing on them before they put it on you. And the earlier I said that 98% of the testing procedure never rise. You never know that. And the problem here is this this industry, they don't have like transparency. Us as a part of the society, we don't know how they treat the animal. They don't want to say yes. Of course they're gonna say, well, we treat this animal very good, we treat them very well, but we don't know how is that true things or it's just words from them. And as a as veterinary students, I think animal liberation is something we need to take part of it. Like this is a very 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 important thing we should uh, take part of, because as ethical, we need to take care. We need to see more about animal rights. Okay, because many okay, some of you guys might gonna say like, oh, we are humans. Our rights is like more important than the animals' rights, but I don't think so, because we have the same important part of the in this earth. We have the same important job we need to do, because as an animal they have a lot of benefit that they give us, and why not we protect them, just protect them. I mean, like, we already get a lot of things from them, so it's not very hard just to protect them. And as liberation, we fighting for that. And that's my speech. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for government whip. Government whip spent 7 minutes and 2 seconds. So next, to end the case from the closing opposition, here is the opposition whip. Mr. Bagi Rate, time is yours.
All right, thank you. Before I start my speech, let me set my timer first. All right, let me introduce myself again. My name is Imadi Bagirata. You guys can call me Bagi. My gender pronoun is he, him, and I'm here as the opposite whip. So once again, I reiterate that we don't support this motion on the basis of the argument that this House support the Animal Liberation Front. As a human who love peace that my religion teaches me, Mr. Speaker and Madam Speaker, that's why I'm so proud of this opposition team. I'm here as a position whip. I just want to add some data about how file ALF is when carrying out these actions. Before we get into a real life example of what ALF does, I will tell you what method they use. ALF used a radical method of sabotage and violence to cause maximum physical and economic damage in the past, such as the series of arsons conducted by the ALF at 2010. The cause of the damages, animal rights extremists, along with their violent environmental counterparts, caused it estimated to be more than 110 million as the 2004. While the movement is determined to preserve until all human use of animals from husbandry to research is completely eradicate animal rights extremists present a low but enduring threat in the United States. And based on a journal entitled radicalization of the animal protection movement, eco-terrorism attack, Operation Bite Back by the Animal Liberation Front in USA by Putri Wahyu Dewi from International Relations Study Program, Faculty of Social and Political Science of Diponegoro University. The journal said among cases related to the eco-terrorism that occurred in the United States, Animal Liberation Front, or ALF, emerged as the most active activist group in the world due to the country. And the first appearance of ALF in United States occurred in the 1979, and anti-ALF is currently the most active group in the environmentalist movement and animal protection. In fact, over a period of years 1996 to 2002 alone, the ALF has committed crimes in the United States reaching 600 cases. The eco-terrorism method used by ALF can be proven from the objectives and group activists. In almost all of the activities, ALF carries out attacks directly to all forms of animal abuse by causing economic. ALF used the economic method in the United States can be seen clearly one of the largest cases which took place in early 1919. During the period, the ALF group carried out of the serious eco-terrorism attack against across the United States devoted exclusively to for research centers and place for food supplies. And then I want to add some data by the FBI. During the past several years, however, special interest extremists, as characterized by the Animal Liberation Front or ALF, the unrelated extremists had emerged as a serious domestic terrorist threat. Special interest terrorists differ from traditional right-wing and left-wing terrorism in the extremist special interest group seek to resolve specific issue rather than effect widespread political change. Such extremist conduct are the politically motivated violence to force segment of society, including the general public, to change attitude about issues considered important to the extremist causes. Generally, extremist group engage in much activity to the protect by constitutional guarantees of free speech and assembly. And in recent years, the Animal Liberation Front, or ALF, have become the most active criminal extremist element in the United States. Despite the destructive aspect of ALF, the state operational philosophy discourages act the harm by an animal, human, or non-human. In general, an animal rights and environmental extremist movement have adhered to this mandate. Beginning in 2002, however, this operational philosophy has been overshadowed by escalation in violent rhetoric and tactic. And then I want to say to you guys, government, um, um, that time government whip say that Indonesian still doesn't understand about animal welfare. Do you think animal welfare should be enforced with this way? Can you guys imagine how an organization that is supposed to protect animals does this horrible thing? And with various existing problems, do we have to solve the problem with by adding some problems, adding by new added problems? Of course, we support animal welfare with pride, but think again whether ALF approach is the best way. We believe that there are many other ways to save animal more honorably, and you guys think for yourself. With various thing of animal liberation from us, I can confirm that we as the opposition team do not support this motion. Thank you. That's for me.
Okay, thank you for the opposition whip. The opposition whip went 4 minutes and 57 seconds. That's all the debate for today. Now it's time for the educator to decide the winner in this debate.